All right, I have questions coming out of last night. Richard, first off, who wins the fight here between the governor and the teachers union?
It's not a fight between the governor and the teachers union, because in the end, public opinion is deeply engaged in education stuff. And if they turn it into that, they're both going to end up on their rear ends. The use of standardized tests has become more and more of a problem for the public, people with kids in the schools and others, be it, excuse me, be it Common Core, whatever else it is. By shifting this over to a standardized testing issue, by shifting it over to a pro-charter school issue, the governor endangers a goodwill that he's developed since the election by moving left on economic issues. He used to be a pro-reactionary, left on social issues like education, right on economic issues. He's moved left, not a lot, but some, on economic issues. Left is that way. He's moving right on these other issues. Very complicated political stuff, but don't think about this as a fight between the teachers union and the governor. This is a fight that involves parents and people who care about public schools.
And obviously tenure, one of the other legs of this table. The question of who's going to pay for all this and where all the money's coming from. In fact, Bill, let's play this clip here. This was the rebuttal Republicans delivered immediately after the governor's address.
In short, we must keep state government's focus exactly where it should be, on the legitimate economic concerns felt by taxpayers and their families, and on how we can encourage private sector economic development so they can have a good job that improves their lives. We know that New Yorkers want Democrats and Republicans to work together to get results. And that's why, despite winning an outright majority, Senate Republicans are continuing their historic coalition with members of the Independent Democratic Conference.
I'm sorry, there's 30 seconds of my life that I never got back. But you can't even win. That's all my fault. All my fault. But
that's what happens when you make a TV guy into a senator.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of gets funky out there.
Come on, say his name again.
Moving on. The point is, it's a legitimate point. How you gonna pay for all this, right?
Yeah, his spending wasn't. His spending proposal was $1.7 million increase. Billion, which is it's twice the rate of inflation at this point. But it's not crazy spending by Albany means whatsoever. I think Richard would probably want to see more. I would guess.
Don't put words in my
mouth. Always a safe bet.
I could try. But anyway, I don't think the spending is the real problem here. I thought the speech was pretty good. I thought the first 3 hours went pretty quickly. You know,
it only felt like an hour and a half.
It only felt like an hour and a half. But I think this was Andrew Cuomo at his best. I think he's best when he's scripted. I think he came across fairly likable, but he definitely declared war on the teachers here.
Yeah.
Look, there's no question
he was shrewd. And one speech is not going to cure the problems he had. He took a beating from moderate and progressive voters because he had become an austerity bug. The move on minimum wage makes sense, but it's not going to be enough. There's going to be more coming down. This is day one of a 3-month process.
Andrew, your gut say that he takes Mr. de Blasio. I was hoping that Don would ask him, you want the governor to get involved here as it relates to policing. What's your gut say? He touched on it today. He talked about it some things, but he didn't go as heavy as some people thought he might.
You know, I think it's interesting that he's sort of offering an alternate version as opposed to de Blasio. I think it's also interesting that he's talking about this appointee who could, or the process, right, that could look at these instances, but it can't be the Attorney General. It just cannot be the Attorney General of the state of New York.
Whatever you do, you can't help out Schneiderman, you can't help out Dinopoli. It doesn't matter what year it is.
But the third fight that he's got out there, though, is his insistence that the economic problems or the tax problems in New York are the fault of localities. Yeah. And that's just intellectually dishonest. And he drove that home again today, and that's going to become
every governor
school districts that are getting mandated.
You're going to compete.
We got a couple minutes on the other side of this, and you're going to hear a bitter Jet fan talk about the Deflategate or whatever it's called. We'll be right back.